There are so many things to do in Austin that one day really isn't enough. Honestly, even a full weekend in Austin really isn't enough to see everything, eat everything, and experience every part of the city. So trying to create a one-day Austin itinerary was actually kind of hard because there are just so many different directions that you could go. You could do like a nature-focused day with Zilker Park, Barton Springs, Lady Bird Lake, paddleboarding, that kind of vibe. You could do like a full foodie day and just kind of eat your way through all of the barbecue, tacos, food trucks, Tex-Mex, and just all of the amazing coffee shops that there are. You could do a live music itinerary, you could do a downtown nightlife itinerary, you could do a family-friendly itinerary, you could do a full shopping and murals itinerary, but for this one, I wanted to give you a small highlight of everything that Austin has to offer. Breakfast tacos, coffee, food truck parks, live music, Texas culture, vintage shopping, skyline views, nightlife, and one of the most unique Austin experiences all centered around one street to make it easy for you, South Congress. South Congress, or SoCo as a lot of people call it, is arguably the most famous street in Austin. It's colorful, it's walkable, touristy in some parts, don't get me wrong, but still local feeling in others, and it gives you that classic Austin mix of kind of quirky, trendy, casual, and Texas all at the same time. So if you only have one day in Austin and you want a really simple itinerary that gives you just a little taste of everything in the city, here is exactly how I'd spend it. Start your morning off in the south, and then you're gonna kind of make your way up north South Congress. So we're gonna start at Cosmic Pickle. This is such a good first stop because it gives you that classic Austin food truck park energy right away. Austin is known for food trucks, outdoor patios, coffee shops, breakfast tacos, casual hangout spots, and this kind of just checks all of those boxes immediately. So you can grab coffee from the coffee house that they have there. Then obviously there's tons of food trucks there. I would recommend getting breakfast tacos at Pueblo Viejo food truck, and in my opinion, you cannot come to Austin and not at least start one morning without breakfast tacos. Breakfast tacos are such a staple here. It's one of those things that feels very simple, but it's also very Austin. You can keep it classic, you know, bacon, egg, cheese, or go for something like migas, potato, chorizo, or whatever sounds good. This is also a great way to kind of ease into the day. You're not rushing straight into the busiest part of the city or the busiest part of South Congress. You're starting somewhere a lot more casual, outdoorsy, and very Austin feeling. So grab your coffee, grab your tacos, sit outside for a little bit, enjoy that slower morning vibe before heading into the main part of the South Congress area. So once you're done, from there I would hop on a scooter or take an Uber up South Congress all the way to like the main South Congress strip. But I do think the scooter adds a little bit to the experience because Austin is such a scooter friendly city, especially in the central areas. But either way, as you head north towards the main South Congress area, you'll start to get closer to the part of the street where most people picture when they think of SoCo, the shops, the murals, the restaurants, boutiques, hotels, patios, and just people walking around everywhere. So since we're already in the south, we're gonna kind of start at the bottom and just make our way up towards the river. So the first stop that I would recommend is Allen's Boots. This is one of the most iconic shops on South Congress and probably one of the most Texas feeling stops you can make in Austin. Even if you're not planning to buy cowboy boots because they are really expensive, it's still worth going inside just to look around. The walls are lined with so many boots, hats, belts, western wear. It just gives you that full kind of Texas moment. It's one of those places where even browsing kind of just feels like it's part of the experience. And if you are looking for that souvenir that actually feels very Texas, of course, cowboy boots or cowboy hat are about as classic as it gets. If not, just snap a photo of the famous all right neon sign inside, because something else that's extremely Austin, Matthew McConaughey. After Allen's Boots, just start walking. One of the best parts about South Congress is that you really don't need a strict plan for every single minute. The fun is just in walking the streets, popping into the shops, checking out the murals, people watching, and just kind of seeing what catches your eye. But there are a few spots that I definitely would recommend and make sure that you don't miss as you're walking around. Right next door, you do have, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm saying Mofre, I don't know, which is another great stop if you are into Western style, but it has a little bit of a more modern, curated feel. They're known for hats, and you can get custom shaping and branding done. It's one of those places that feels very Austin because it blends Texas culture with like a trendier boutique vibe. So between Allen's Boots and Mofre's, whatever you say at Mofre's, you do get a really dose of Texas style. Then I would keep walking and stop into some of the vintage and boutique shops along South Congress. South Congress has a mix of higher end stores, local boutiques, vintage shops, and kind of fun novelty stops. So just depending on your style, you could spend, 20 minutes just zip up and down, or you could easily spend a few hours actually going into each store, shopping, looking around. So it's kind of just up to you. And of course, there are tons of food and drink options along SoCo too, but I know you did just eat at Cosmic. But Austin is a city full of amazing food, right? So I'd highly recommend just always getting a small bite wherever you go, because that way that you can just try as much food as possible, and that's one of the main things to do in Austin, especially if you only have one day. So if you want a casual snack or lunch, you could stop at Home Slice Pizza, which is another South Congress classic. It's not barbecue, it's not Tex-Mex, but it is a very well-known Austin spot, and grabbing a slice while walking around SoCo is always a good idea. It's especially nice if you don't really want to commit to a big sit-down lunch, because you know there's just still so much to see, especially if you only have one day, so eating might just take up a little bit more time. If you do want something a little bit more upscale, or you do want to sit down and relax for a little bit for a proper lunch or drink, I would recommend Perla's, which is one of the prettiest patios on South Congress. It's seafood focused and it has a more polished, elevated feel, but still very relaxed Austin vibe. If the weather is nice, sitting on that patio with a drink is such a good move. Even if you don't do a full meal there, it's a great place to stop for oysters, cocktail, or just kind of like a little afternoon break, rest your feet. Another great drink spot is Hotel San Jose. This is one of my favorite types of Austin stops because it doesn't feel overly loud or chaotic. It's much more of a hidden courtyard, boutique hotel vibe. It's a good place to grab a drink, cool off, and take a break from walking. South Congress, well, I guess Texas or Austin in general, just can get really hot, especially if you're visiting in the spring or summer, so definitely build in some patio breaks. Austin is a city where half of the experience is just sitting outside with a drink, listening to music, people watching, and speaking of music, you cannot talk about South Congress without mentioning the Continental Club, which is one of Austin's most legendary live music venues. Austin is known as the live music capital of the world, and this is one of those places that really represents that side of the city. So depending on the time of the day, what you have going on, you could stop in for live music or come back later in the evening if that's something that interests you. Even if you only walk by, it is worth pointing out because it is such a classic Austin spot. And don't forget about Joe's Coffee, which is one of the most recognizable coffee spots on South Congress, and it's where you'll find the famous "I love you so much" mural. Yes, it's super touristy. Yes, there will be a line of people waiting to take a photo in front of this wall, but it is famous for a reason, and if this is your first time in Austin, it's a fun little stop. You don't necessarily need to get coffee or spend a lot of time here because you just got coffee at Cosmic Pickle earlier, but it is worth walking by, grabbing a quick photo, taking in the energy of this area because it's very Austin. But if you do want another drink, of course their iced coffee options are perfect for walking around SoCo. And you know, this is one of the reasons I love South Congress for a one-day Austin itinerary. You can get a little bit of everything without driving all over the city. You get the food trucks, you get breakfast tacos in the morning, the shopping and the murals in the afternoon, the Texas boots, the hats, the patio drinks, and the live music, all within one general area that is walkable. So I do love that, and I think it is perfect for such a short amount of time. And by this point, you've already gotten a pretty good taste of South Congress, or kind of like Austin vibes in general, right? Like I just said, coffee, tacos, murals, boots, hats, shopping, vintage Austin energy. So now as the afternoon is turning into the evening, you're gonna continue north and start making your way towards South Congress Bridge. This is where you're gonna get one of the most unique Austin experiences, the bats at sunset. The Congress Avenue Bridge is home to a huge bat colony, and around sunset-ish time, depending on the season and the weather, you can see them fly out from under the bridge. It's one of those things that sounds kind of random and maybe a little bit weird until you experience it, but it's become one of Austin's most iconic attractions. And even if the bats don't put on a huge show that night, which honestly they usually always do, but the bridge is still worth visiting because you get this amazing sunset skyline view from there. You get a beautiful view of downtown Austin, Lady Bird Lake, the water, the trails, the buildings, all the people gathered around waiting for these bats, and then the sun just dropping behind you. It's one of those moments where you really feel like you're in Austin. You can watch from the bridge, or you can go down closer to the trail by the water, and it's kind of a different view. You're looking up at the bridge, and that's the view that I personally prefer. I'd recommend getting there a little bit before sunset so you're not kind of rushing and trying to get a good spot, because there are going to be a ton of people there. Once you see the bats, walk across the bridge into downtown, and this is another reason why I like this itinerary, because you start all the way in South Austin, you're making your way through South Congress, and then naturally you're just ending up in the downtown by the evening time. It gives the day a really nice flow instead of kind of just jumping all over the city. For dinner, I would recommend Fairground Austin, which is a really cool food hall downtown, and I think it works really well for a one-day itinerary because it's easy, it's casual, it's great if you're traveling with a group. Everyone can kind of just choose what you want, and you don't have to overthink it, you don't have to have reservations. It just kind of keeps the evening really flexible. Or if you're not with a group, you're just able to try multiple things. Again, eat your way through Austin, right? So after a full day of of walking, shopping, taking photos, stopping for drinks, sometimes a food hall is exactly what you need. Gives you options without making dinner too complicated. With that being said, if you want something a little bit more classic Austin for dinner, you can absolutely swap this out. If you want barbecue, you'd venture off South Congress and away from downtown to the famous Terry Black's barbecue. Personally, I love grabbing Terry Black's barbecue and then heading to SoCo Park to eat it because Terry Black's can get a little bit crazy, so I put in the order ahead of time, grab it, pick it up, take it to SoCo, avoid the crowds and the chaos. But if you are here for only one day, maybe you want the crowds and the chaos, but it does allow you to see SoCo Park, which is super famous, and then eat Terry Black's, which is so cool. Or if you want something trendy or very Austin, you could do Loro. If you want Tex-Mex or a nicer sit-down dinner, there are plenty of options nearby, but for this specific route, I was just trying to keep it as simple as possible, and Fairground just keeps it very walkable. You're just staying along South Congress after the bath, so totally up to you, but you have tons of options in this general area. Then if you still have energy after dinner, which I hope you do because you're only here for one day, you gotta head out for some nightlife, and the obvious tourist answer is 6th Street. And listen, 6th Street is famous. It's chaotic, it's loud, and it's definitely a scene, and if it's your first time in Austin, you might want to at least walk through it just once, just to kind of see what it's like. And it's kind of interesting because even though it is the same street, there are 3 very distinct vibes along that street. You have East 6, which is more eclectic, has a slightly more local feeling nightlife vibe. You have the middle section, which is referred to as Dirty 6, which is the wild party scene, and personally not my vibe, or not the vibe of probably anyone who's older than a college age. Then we have West 6, which is a little bit more polished, a little bit more upscale. Personally, I prefer the vibe of East 6 the best. I do feel like it encompasses the Keep Austin Weird kind of slogan and vibe, but I also do really love Buford's on West 6. So definitely just walk the street and just kind of follow whatever energy and vibe fits your style of nightlife the most. There also is Rainy Street, which is best known for its bungalow style bars, outdoor patios, so that's always fun. Or of course, even going back towards South Congress for live music is an option if the bar and the club scene really isn't for you. Like I mentioned before, there is the Continental Club in the heart of SoCo, or if you want some real Texas energy, and honestly, it's my personal favorite spot in Austin for like a chill nightlight vibe, if that's more of your thing like it is mine, and with live music. You can hop on a scooter or an Uber all the way back down South Congress, so you're still staying on South Congress, but just way further down, even past Cosmic Pickle where you started the morning, and go to Armadillo Den, which also has a really cool place next door to it called Moon Tower Saloon. Both of these spots are just a huge outdoor area with live music, food trucks, and just a little bit more of a chiller vibe, which is personally what I prefer over crazy clubs or loud bars. So I would choose your night out based on your energy and kind of what you prefer, maybe even your age, like what do you like. If you want the famous tourist nightlife experience, go to 6th Street. If you want something a little bit cooler, more local, East 6. If you want patio bars and lively but slightly different vibe, go to Rainy. And of course, if you want live music, stay around South Congress, maybe like the downtown South Congress area, or even further down like I just mentioned, and just kind of check out what's playing. And that's the one-day Austin itinerary I'd recommend if you want to see a lot without overcomplicating the day. Starting out with coffee, breakfast tacos at a food truck park, scootering up to South Congress, taking photos at Joe's, shopping for boots at Allen's, check out the boutiques, the vintage stores, stop for candy at Big Top, grab a drink at Perla's or Hotel San Jose, catch live music at the Continental Club, watch the bats at sunset from the South Congress Bridge, walk into downtown for dinner at the fairground, and then end the night with Austin nightlife. In one day, you'll really get a small taste of everything that Austin has to offer. Like I said in the beginning, there's so much to do in Austin, and you could still be here for a whole week and you really would not see it all. So I know there's gonna be some people in the comments saying like, oh my God, how could you do an Austin itinerary and you're not including Terry Black's as a must-see? Or what about Zilker Park? Or what about Barton Springs? Or oh my gosh, you didn't have them paddleboard on Lady Bird Lake? It's like, don't get me wrong, those are all Austin classics. I am not denying that. Terry Black's is iconic. Zilker Park is one of the best spots in the city. It's one of my favorite spots. Barton Springs is amazing. Paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake is one of the best ways to see the skyline and just very uniquely Austin. There are so many restaurants, coffee shops, barbecue spots, taco places, breweries, hikes, swimming holes, and neighborhoods that deserve their own itinerary in Austin. That's what makes Austin such an incredible city and one of the reasons why we moved here. But if you only have one day, it's impossible to see everything and eat all of the amazing food that Austin has to offer. So instead of trying to cram in the entire city, this itinerary just gives you one really fun, walkable route, shows you a little bit of everything. It makes Austin just feel like Austin. And if you're visiting for the first time, South Congress really is just such a great place to start that kind of encompasses it all. And if you're thinking about moving to this magical city, make sure to check out my Austin cost of living in 2026 video to see if it's something that does work within your budget.